All right, let's go ahead and get a little deeper now. And Diaz did and I know you probably don't threw that piece of paper away a long time ago when you did the whole generational housing and generational wealth thing.
Oh, time value of money type thing. Yeah.
Yeah,
Cool.
but
But yeah, I threw that away. I ain't got
it was
that.
a great piece, though. It was a great piece. But let's go ahead and get into housing and generational wealth.
Then there was redlining. See the areas on this map highlighted in red? Those were the, quote, risky homes. Banks didn't loan money to the folks in those homes. Insurance companies charged ridiculously high interest rates to the folks in those homes. The folks in those homes tended to be, you guessed it, black. Developers used eminent domain, or the government taking private property for public use, to kick blacks out of their homes. One big example of this was the federal government building interstate highways and splitting black neighborhoods. Most of the laws discriminating against African Americans enforced racial segregation, establishing separate institutions, places, and services for blacks and whites. The United States Supreme Court even upheld racial segregation in the case Plessy v. Ferguson, so long as those institutions, places, and services were, quote, separate but equal. Well, spoiler alert, they were not. 58 years later, the Supreme Court redeemed itself by ruling that racial segregation was, quote, inherently unequal in the famous decision Brown versus the Board of Education. The Brown decision was part of the much bigger civil rights movement, which I mentioned earlier. In addition to desegregation, the civil rights movement saw laws getting rid of all discrimination and obstacles to voting for people of color. Heck, there was even a law that mostly got rid of housing discrimination. Double heck! All of the major reforms of the 1960s and 1970s saw progress not just for African Americans and Native Americans, but additionally Hispanics, Latinos, women, those with disabilities, and even homosexuals. And they all lived happily ever after. Except that they didn't. While most people of color have made tremendous progress in recent decades, overall they still can't seem to escape the momentum of the past. Plus, while the laws and courts were mostly on the side of people of color, racists found ways around the laws and courts to still make people of color second-class citizens.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, Anna.
Hey, how are you doing, Anna?
Yeah.
Pretty good. Excuse my tardiness. Had a family dinner run over.
Oh, no, good to see you. So I don't know where the Marlin has gone, but so talking about the momentum of history as the way the speaker put it. The best way I found to help people is oftentimes when we talk about money, because that seems to be the common language that everyone is willing to speak. Because if we talk about events and how this impacted this person or that group, then they basically say you're whining or something like that, right? But money, okay. So there's a concept called the time value of money. For those of you who ride with me on our United Core, we will explore this much more as far as just trying to work through math and how numbers work. But time value of money is basically showing you how compounding interest works. Compounding interest is what kind of is a principle that moves behind why your house appreciates in value. Okay, so your house, you buy it for $100,000. Here's the thing about that. You didn't buy the house for $100,000. You're buying the house and the land it sits on, right? Because houses, we can make a house anytime. Realistically, your house ain't worth much, okay? Because also, the more you customize it, the less marketable it becomes to someone else anyway. But that dirt that it sits on, that's a finite resource. There's only so much going out, and you're just trading on the secondary market at this point, right? You're waiting for someone to die, someone to move, whatever. So you can then buy that house at its current value and hope that its value continue to go up, which it will historically, because The earth isn't making more land. Hey, Parker. So one of the ways I try to bring this in is like things that we can establish as a fact, right? We can establish that chattel slavery happened. Like that's a fact. We get lost in the weeds debating the facts around the facts about what was the treatment like, what was the experience, and all, you know. But slavery happened. Okay, well, what were some of the consequences of slavery? As was pointed out in the video, couldn't own anything, right? You know, property doesn't own property, generally speaking, right? So you were deprived of your humanity, therefore you couldn't own anything. So that means the foundation of America, think of it as all the land is available. Unfortunately, it's not really, because the indigenous people are already living on it.